Hi, welcome to the AMH 2010 Museum. How can I help you? Hi, we want to buy tickets for the Abolition Movement exhibit. Okay, let's see. Unfortunately, that one's full. We have an opening for the Simulated Art and Music Walk through Jacksonian America. That'd be great, right? No problem. Here are your tickets. Just walk right through those doors and someone will assist you to the screen room shortly. Thank you. Here's yours. Right this way, ladies. Glasses are on the back and have a seat wherever you like. Cool. I know, right? Thanks. My pleasure. Just be careful with the buttons though, because sometimes the remote control can glitch. Whatever you do not press the button that says TT. That was weird. Relax, freak. You've been jumpy all of a sudden since last time. What even happened? Nothing, just forget it. I'm gonna start it, so shh.
Welcome to the Art and Music Simulated Walk through Jacksonian America. Would you like a briefing of Andrew Jackson's presidency? Click green for yes, red for no.
Ooh, yes, give me that.
Green selected.
Hi, let's dive into the presidency of Andrew Jackson. The Jacksonian era, from 1820 to around 1840, was a time of big political shifts. Jackson pushed for populist democracy and expanding voting rights to white men, doing so by removing the requirement of having land to vote. This made voting accessible to all white men, not just the wealthy. He hated federal or big banks, so he shut down the second bank of the US, moving money into state banks instead. He even paid off the entire national debt. However, his economic policies, like the Specie Circular, which required gold or silver to purchase land instead of paper money, led to financial instability, contributing to the Panic of 1837, which was a major economic downturn. Andrew Jackson was big on expansion, pushing Manifest Destiny, a belief that colonists held that it was their God-given right to expand westward. Isn't that like the lady in white flying in the air or something? Yeah, something like that. But that also meant forcing Native Americans west through the Indian Removal Act in 1830. This law forced tribes to give up their land in the southeast and relocate west of the Mississippi River. The Cherokee, Creek, Seminole, and other tribes suffered greatly, especially during the Trail of Tears, where thousands died on the forced march. Although Andrew Jackson claimed he meant well by protecting or preserving indigenous culture, critics argue that his justifications was just a political strategy, as many Native Americans had already assimilated into American society. Moreover, during the nullification crisis, South Carolina tried to reject federal tariffs, which taxed imported goods vital to the southern cotton economy. Jackson applied federal authority with the force bill using military force, but later compromised by supporting the Compromise Tariff of 1833, which gradually lowered taxes. Andrew Jackson's legacy is debatable. He changed American democracy forever, but his policies had ricocheting effects. Among some, this era helped create the conditions that made the Underground Railroad necessary by increasing conflicts over slavery. The Second Great Awakening, a religious movement that fueled social reform, inspired people to fight against slavery, leading to secret escape routes. Nat Turner's Rebellion, a violent slave uprising in Virginia, scared the southern slave owners, so they passed stricter laws, making it harder but even more necessary for enslaved people to run away. Groups like the American Anti-Slave Society, which fought for the immediate end of slavery, worked harder to help create safe houses and networks. The Underground Railroad became huge in the 1850s, but the push for freedom started way earlier. Interesting.
Would you like to examine art or music next? Music selected.
In the northern United States between 1824 and 1844, music was heavily influenced by patriotic themes and emotional connections. Sung by Samuel Francis Smith, My Country 'Tis of Thee was the most popular in the North, where it was first performed in Boston in 1831. The song became a patriotic anthem and was frequently sung at abolitionist gatherings. A heartfelt piece written by Frederick Crush called Kathleen Maureen in 1837 had a somber tone of longing or farewell, resonating with soldiers and families who faced uncertain separations due to early tensions prior to the Civil War and not knowing what was going to come next. In the southern region, music was heavily influenced by themes of hope and resilience due to slaves singing for the want of freedom. They used chants to communicate amongst themselves in the plantations. These songs include genres like religious hymns as well as folk ballads using instruments like the fiddle and the banjo. Let's look into some examples. Songs like Follow the Drinking Gourd had lyrics encrypting a map to freedom, guiding the enslaved north using the Big Dipper or the drinking gourd. Folk ballads like Hunters of Kentucky celebrated Jackson's military victories. The song was also sung at political events and rallies during his time and his re-election campaign. Now, the Arwoolie, or the cornfield holler, was a verbal communication between plantation workers in the cotton fields, voicing emotional and individual experiences as slaves. From these types of chants, blues music is said to have emerged, tapping into the African roots. Music was not only a source of comfort, but it meant survival, resistance, and cultural preservation. Also, know that these songs were orally passed down and not recorded until years later. Frontierlands. Music in the frontierlands rugged adventurous spirit of the westward expansion. Settlers, pioneers, and traders brought a mix of folk ballads, fiddle tunes, and work songs. Arkansas Traveler was a lively fiddle tune played by traveling musicians settling into the frontierlands. Sweet Betsy from Pike is a ballad about a pioneering woman and her journey westward, sung by settlers. Guide Me Jehovah was sung by Cherokee leader Calhoun asking for guidance in the forced movement west. Lastly, Stephen Foster's O Susanna is one of the most famous American folk songs. He is also considered America's first pop singer. The song lyrics tells about a man traveling from Alabama to Louisiana with a banjo on his knee, eager to reunite with his love, you guessed it, Susanna. Wow, interesting. You imagine how scary that must have been? I mean, yeah, but remember, some colonists wanted to travel west for religious freedoms, like Utah and the Mormons. Oh my gosh, speaking of which, have you seen The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives on Hulu? No? I'm not even gonna ask. No, but for real, you should, it's good. Wait, now click the art exhibit option. Oh, yeah. Hi, let's dive into the art from the Jacksonian era. This art reflected the soul of a growing nation. In the north, apart from cities slowly industrializing, colonists found beauty in nature. So the Hudson River School was born, where a bunch of artists like Thomas Cole drew landscapes appreciating America's wilderness, like its mountains, its rivers, and its forests. Their huge landscape paintings showed God's power in creation, as well as views depicting the landscape that was seen from the journey west. Now down south, art reflected more of a home and plantation life. Wealthy plantation owners would hire painters to capture the southern plantation life as seen down below. But there was also a rich world of folk art made by enslaved Africans and rural communities. Quilts weren't just for warmth. They held hidden messages, value, and tradition. Other crafts like sweetgrass baskets and pottery preserved tradition because it encompassed and reflected European, Native, and African creation. In the Western Frontlands, art was raw and handmade. Although pioneers did record and document their journey using diaries and notebooks and folk art, they expressed their creativity through beadwork and woven blankets. And lastly, for the great finale, we have The American Progress by John Gast, or otherwise known as the Manifest Destiny painting. It was basically an advertisement for the westward expansion. That woman in the sky, that's Columbia, the spirit of America. In the image, we see Columbia guiding settlers west on the railroads, bringing technology and education with her, depicted through the telegraph wires and the books at hand. These are all symbols of civilization. As she moves forward, we see things like Native Americans in Buffalo being pushed, making it clear that this journey west forced them off their land. In the end, this painting is saying, hey, this is our destiny. America is meant to spread across land, or from sea to shining sea. Did you catch it?
Thank you for joining us in the Art and Music Walk through Jacksonian America. Would you like to view these landscapes firsthand? Click green for yes, red for no.
Say no. Why not? Because it's not what you think.
Green selected. TT system starting shortly.
Oh my gosh, we're dead. You're overreact. Did she just say TT? Yes, you idiot. That's the button the guy told us not to press. What even is that? Back. Time travel. What? No, that's impossible.
The possibilities are endless here at the Museum of AMH 2010. System launching in 3, 2,
Oh no, hold on.
1.